Yep.
Okay,
Are you ready for me to read the meeting script?
sir.
All right. Let me just get YouTube set up. Okay. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 23rd, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Yarmouth Water Resources Advisory Committee meeting is being conducted via remote participation. All votes during this meeting need to be conducted by roll call. No in-person attendance will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access and participate in the proceedings as provided for in the order. Public participation will be permitted by allowing members of the public to join this meeting via Zoom or via the telephone. Mr. Chairman, if you can just take a roll call quote to enter into the meeting quorum, we can begin.
Okay, I'll start with myself. I, John.
Aye.
Tom Durkin.
Aye.
Barrow.
Aye.
Tom Roach.
Aye.
Tom Barron.
Aye.
I see Max here. You are a new member? You're muted.
You were on mute.
Yes, Mary Craig, present.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I think, I see George Perkins there too. We're voting to enter into the meeting.
I'm here, Greg.
Did I miss anybody? I think that's all the members.
Lee?
Yeah, Kurt, Lee.
Oh, Lee, you're
I'm- I'm-
the 860 number. Okay. Very good. All right. Where we start with the DHY update, I believe, Dave?
Sure, there isn't a whole lot to update. Jeff Colby and I gave a overview of the wastewater program in Yarmouth and an overview of DHY. I think that was back on April 14th. Got a lot of good questions, about flows, land use controls, those types of things. They all seem rather supportive of DHY, but, we said, looks like decisions are off until fall. Other than that, has not been a whole lot going on, certainly in that regard, so.
I tuned into the Finance Committee's meeting last week, and they had an interesting conversation, though I'm not sure it'll go anywhere if it even serves a purpose, but majority of their membership actually supported leaving the DHY question on the town meeting warrant for the spring. And even though it may be mostly symbolic, they thought maybe we should take a vote to show that we are serious and ready to go, and then let Dennis and Howard catch up to us. But I'm not sure how the selectmen are going to receive that. I guess we'll find out tomorrow night on that issue.
Well, as I said at the last meeting, there really isn't a DHY on the table at this point. So I'm not sure what that vote would actually entail, but.
Yeah, especially since the original question had a place for numbers to plug into it. If you don't know what Howard and Dennis are going to do, it's obviously going to be hard to, to fit those numbers in. So just thought I'd bring that up for people to think about. Like I said, I don't know if anybody from the FinCom is going to be on the selectmen's meeting tomorrow night, or they're going to plan on commenting, but I thought it was interesting, their take on it. I see Mr. Rittenau is here. Did you want to say anything about that vote the other night? Or do you think anything needs to be said?
I'd like to say hello, good afternoon, everyone. Introduce myself. A lot of you folks I still don't know. Bob Rittenauer, Newtown Administrator. I was at the Finance Committee meeting last evening, last week. And I felt that, their entire attitude toward the project was just, one of support, one of enthusiasm. And, I felt that their vote to recommend the article was really based on, trying to make an effort to help the process, push it along. I think the selectmen are very much aware of the recommendation of this committee to hold off on it, and they probably will do that. But I think, people ask the question, well, what's the downside? what's the downside of expressing our support for moving forward? Because, we want to see this project happen and happen fast. And so that's kind of where the finance committee was coming from. So I think the discussion with the Board of Selectmen is to just talk about, the pros and cons and why it would be more beneficial to, move forward in the fall to make sure that we have more information and questions answered.
George, you see your hand up?
Yeah, let me just say this, since I am a member of the Finance Committee, and unfortunately, I had to leave the meeting before this discussion took place. However, I have been watching it on the recording for the last couple of hours. But my understanding was that, number one, they did not vote, although the sentiment was to assert support. And for fear that, I think the word used was leadership. So the committee was trying to express we ought to assert ourselves, and that's what they were in favor of. But I believe they did not take a vote.
I thought they did, but either way, the sense of the meeting was very supportive of
Yes,
it. And I did have some communication with one of the FinCom members, and they said, it may be only symbolic, but they thought it would show even to things like Conservation Law Foundation that we are serious, we are ready to move forward. But again, I think it's symbolic mostly, but it is good that they're supporting it too at the same time, whether it be now or in the fall. I think it's good that they're with us on this.
Well, Kurt, at one point there was discussion of having, some of the key committees in town, put their recommendations into a letter to the selectmen showing their support. Maybe, instead of a formal vote, just say they strongly support THY whenever the selectmen feel it's appropriate to bring that article to a town meeting type of thing.
Maybe they could do that. Then I don't know. Are they meeting tonight or Wednesday? New Bob?
The selectmen are meeting tomorrow.
I mean the FinCom.
Wednesday. We are meeting Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Okay. So maybe they'd like to draft a letter. I don't know. But I got the sense of the meeting the other night that they were very supportive of the program anyway. So that's helpful. Okay. So I guess there's nothing else to update. I guess public outreach. I'd want to set aside some time for anybody from the public to comment or ask questions, especially because our outreach is going to be very limited, and sounds like it's mostly based on the two ballot questions that pertain to this program. So I don't know if anybody out there in the public would like to ask a question. Kyle, are you keeping track of that? Can you see that? Who has their hands raised or anything?
Yeah, you got Tom Niconella's raising his hand.
Anybody else?
Just Tom at the moment.
Okay. Tom?
Yes, good evening, good afternoon. How's everybody? Thanks for welcoming the public to your meeting today. It's very appreciative. As you know, we all generate to our septic needs here in town, and we're all in this together as one big bowl of what. But anyways, from our understanding is that if we wait, we lose the advantage of the cost savings per construction, no matter what happens, right? And from what I understand from meetings ago, that the Department of Environmental Protection, Mr. What was his name?
Dudley?
Dudley.
Yes. He had mentioned that one of their goals was to make sure that there wasn't a plant in every town, and regionalizing would be better. So what's to say that if Yarmouth starts and puts the plant in the bigger town, then Dennis can join with us and we can start moving forward. Why do we want to not have a plant in town? I don't understand. We have a bigger population, we have a bigger expansion to grow, but we want to move all our product someplace else when we should take care of it right in town, because we're generating it right here in town. And we need to have that resource at the other end available for all the generators that are going to use it. So, as a business person for many years, everything matters. So, if we're going to delay construction, we lose our advantage. If we partner with Dennis, which is a great partnership. I mean, for years, the town of Dennis and Yarmouth have got along with all kinds of things. As maybe one or two situations, education could be one of them, but our fire departments work well. We love Dennis. A lot of people live in Dennis and work in Yarmouth, and vice versa. So, if we have our plant going up and running, I mean, to me, for them, it would make sense just to join us, and we can still get the opportunity of whatever tax incentives we need. But, I think deferring is what's been happening for, as the chairman said a couple of meetings ago, generations. And we just keep on moving the can, and that can's got so many dents that don't roll anymore. So we really need to pick up the can. So I really think, at least from my perspective and the business community, I think it's warranted for us to have our own plant. And then if Dennis wants to join in, Howard can do, I mean, they've already gone with Chatham. So, they're not going to be in a rush to do anything. And why are we putting all the eggs in Dennis' basket when we should be taking care of? What do they have? 10,000 residents, and we have 23, and we have more opportunity for growth on 28 than their 28. I mean, I think our effluent is our problem, and we should be taking care of it. And if we want to take on a smaller community's effluent, well, we can do that. I don't think that, Barnstable has been doing this for a long time. The only problem they have is they can't get rid of their discharge enough. So now they're buying cranberry bogs to put their water in because there's no other avenue for them to get. They even want us to take the discharge, but I think Yarmouth can be one step ahead and get rid of discharge in a business fashion, which is economically sound, environmentally sound, right? So if you put the plant in Dennis, and Dennis gets, the advantage of that product at the end, which is a very valuable commodity, right? I mean, people come to Cape Cod for the water, right? So we have to protect our water and, our drinking water. I know this is abundant, right? But, we do have droughts. We do have times where our water isn't as plentiful as we want it to be. We also have contamination, okay? And, we got a landfill over there that's still seeping, still, I mean, every town isn't faced with the same problem. But, so you have two concerns. You got, your use, and you have contamination. So if we have our own plant, we can, modify it as it goes, depends on our density. I mean, we expect 28 to increase, don't we? I mean, we're going to have sewers, so now we can have maybe a motel owner can go from 20 rooms to 30 rooms. Okay, so that's a lot more stuff, right? And we have a lot more of those in our town, I think, than our neighbor. We have advantage in the year 2200 to be, what Yarmouth used to be back in the heyday when it was flourishing. We had 18% on tax revenue on the commercial side. We got 5% now. That's not going to stay the same with sewer. And yet we're worried about not putting a plant in town, which we should put a plant in town. We're the bigger town. And if Dennis wants to join us, that's fine. But, the DEP said, at least that's what I heard, and Brian Dudley, can correct me if he's on. I don't know if he's on or not, but, they don't want a plant in every town. So if we go ahead and we start now, we can save that 10% increase in construction costs because we'll be that far ahead. We're already under the gun because Mass DOT is doing 28. So here we are being forced once again because we're not proactive. If we were proactive, this would have been done decades ago. The federal government knew back in the 60s, nitrogen doesn't work in a Title V system. And this is why they approached everybody on a sandbar, like they did in Florida and those other states that don't have the same soil capacity. So I appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman. I really believe that you guys are doing the right thing, and thank you all so much for giving your time. And this is such a critical issue we've been facing for eons, ever since I think I learned how to walk on 28, and I fell down and hit my head, and I don't know what happened then, but this has been happening for a long time, and we really need to get going and let other towns make their decisions. Let's make our decision. And our decision is what we should be based on. Everybody in our town has been educated more than other towns, and I think we're ready to go, and we should just get going before we get behind the 8 ball and we're forced to do things because we're in a part. Let someone join us. We'll carry the basket, right? So I don't want to ramble on anymore, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, and I enjoy your time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Part of the reason for the partnership was the Dennis plant would be centrally located. We have to be careful how much effluent we dispose of within the Parkersville watershed because it is so impaired. So, things like that have been considerations throughout the whole process. And going back 10, 11 years, I supported the plant then. The funding wasn't the right way, but we would have had the plant, we would have had it mostly paid for by now, and we probably would be having somebody else join us and help and pay for it. But that's all history that we can't fix. Do we have any other questions from the public or comments? I don't see anybody's hand up, Kyle, do you?
No.
Okay. Are we going to talk about the mailer next? Was that part of the public outreach on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Dave?
Mr. Chairman, we need a decision in order to be able to get that finalized, get it to the printer, and then mail it out next week. So I think, Kyle, didn't you send it out to everyone in advance?
Yeah, I was in the meeting packet. I can pull it up.
Yeah, we can pull it up too if you want, whatever.
It's in our package, right? We're looking at this postcard,
Yeah, he sent it out last week, I believe.
right? I'd just like to bring it to attention that I think there's a typo in it on the date. The very first November 17th date.
Right.
Part 1.
Mhm.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that says that's a check mark that we had endorsed those
Yeah, it should be
articles at the
2020.
town meeting.
Yes,
Should be
2020.
But
Right.
it's
Oh, it says
2020.
2021. I'm sorry. I see what you're saying. Yep. Okay.
Other than that, I think it's a very nicely done piece. Probably going to be helpful getting people to the Springtown meeting.
Yeah. These are ballot questions, so we got to get these particular ones. We need to get them to the ballot to vote for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I saw the article that was in the Register last week, and I don't think that would have gotten people to the ballot vote.
I'm not too sure how many people are even reading the Register anymore. I find it disappointing that you look for current events within the town and they just never seem to be there anymore. So that's part of the reason we have to kind of lean on a mailer to get the word out to the residents of the town.
Just so the committee knows, a little bit of background, we had generated a preliminary draft. We sent it to Kurt, Mark Forrest, Jeff Colby, a couple others for comments, took those comments back, then sent it to your local printer. Mr. Curley provided a few input comments as well. So this is the version that has been through a few rounds of input, but we wanted to make sure you folks all had your chance to review it with input, since it says it's actually coming from the Water Resource Advisory Committee.
Should there be a link to the DHY website, or would that happen when they use the other link that's on the card?
Yeah, if you go to the town's website, there's links there to DHY.
Okay. I'm okay with it. I don't know what the rest of the committee feels. Other than the date correction, are we happy with it?
Yeah.
Should we just do it by consensus, or do we want a motion to recommend that this gets put out obviously sooner rather than later, because this type of mailing tends to not move very fast through the USPS. No comment. I guess we'll just go by consensus. Seems like everybody's okay with it.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, I've got, nothing else on outreach, correct, Dave?
Correct.
Okay. Friends of Bass River update, anything new? Erin was there. I don't see her now. Okay. Future meeting dates or agenda items. I don't know if anybody feels like we need to meet before town meeting or the ballot. I was hoping, maybe we get some more public input today, but apparently not much. So I'm not sure there's how much benefit there is to try and meet again before the next two big dates. Any thoughts from anybody?
Always good to have a meeting on the calendar. If we need to use it, it's there.
And I would suggest that a meeting gets posted for the day of town meeting, just in case there's some reason we have to gather, which is usually recommended for most committees anyways. Let me see. Do we want to say like May 10th, maybe? Just put it on the calendar. If we need it, we can use it. If we don't, we don't have to use it.
I agree.
Okay. So we'll have a posting for 5/10. And again, if we need it, fine. If we don't, then I guess everybody's happy. I wish we had a little bit better way to outreach to people, but I just don't see what it is right now. Obviously, we're not going to meet in person with a bunch of people.
How about the reverse 911, or you don't call it that here, but the robocall?
Code red, whatever they call it. I don't know. I think it's overused. It's up to the administration and whoever else, I guess, to decide whether they should put one out because you have to be careful, or the town has to be careful not to advocate. You can educate, but not advocate. So you can't tell people how to vote, but I guess you could get the word out that there is a town meeting and a town election coming up.
And they could just say what was on the ballot.
Right. There's three questions on the ballot, and then the town meeting, it looks like we won't have any action on the water issues this spring. So, do we have any meeting minutes, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay.
It was April 5th.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the April 5th meeting minutes?
So moved.
So moved.
Any amendments? Okay, I'll do a roll call. Myself, aye. Tom Roach,
Aye.
John. I guess that's aye. Tom Barron,
Aye.
Tom Durkin,
Aye.
Barrow,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
and that's it. Well, Mary's, you're new, so I guess you can
Aye.
abstain.
Right.
Okay, that takes care of that. Any other business, Kyle?
What about you?
That's it from me. Looks like Tom's got his hand up, though.
Yeah, I just want to bring
Sorry,
to,
go ahead. Yep.
sorry, Kurt, all set?
Yep.
I just want to bring attention, I thought that the comment by Andrew Gottlieb in Sunday's editorial page about the Mashpee investment in clean water, I thought was an excellent condensation of a very complicated topic, and one that would be of interest to us for those who haven't seen it. Thank you.
That reminds me, Dave, there was some mention of different actions we still need to take to get to the finish line. Do you have a sense of who needs to do what and the timeframes that it would take to get them done?
When?
We had sent a memo to Jeff Colby at his request, indicating what steps would need to be done in certain timeframes from our perspective, and specifically in regard to when we're going to need contract amendments. But what I think you're getting at is, because there was some emails regarding funding requests. And just so everyone knows, I'll quickly review the state revolving fund loan program. Every August, they request projects to be submitted for that. And again, projects can be the planning stage or construction. They don't pay for designs. So the year before you think you would be going to construction, meaning that August, you would submit what's known as a project evaluation form, or PEF. The DEP then goes through and rates all the project evaluation forms for projects they receive throughout the whole state. They issue a draft intended use plan later that December, January timeframe, depending on how many they received. They take public comment on that draft list, and then they issue a final somewhere in the February to April timeframe. They just issued the one for this year, which was dated April 13th. And that's the one where Mashpee was getting 50 something million for their collection and treatment plant. You need to then have in place local votes or funding authority for the loan that you're on that list for by June of that year. And then the project has to be fully designed and submitted to DEP by that following October 15th. They review that and issue you a letter to bid it. And then once you receive acceptable bids within the loan amounts, they'll issue you a certificate to award. So that's about a 12 to 18 month process prior to you going to construction. So we had reflected that in the schedules that we had been sending out that showed for DHY, Dennis, Yarmouth, Harwich, and the DHY projects, as well as the MassDOT projects. Those timelines will all again need to be updated, but that was the intent, to reflect what you would need and when you would need town meeting votes, when you would apply for different packages through the state revolving fund loan program, just so that those actions were all appropriately scheduled. Once you're on the SRF list, you then qualify to apply to the Water Protection Fund here on the Cape, which is the first, this is the first year that they've issued out projects. And there was an article in the paper that they issued out, I forget what the number was, 80 something million or 70 million. But you needed to be on the SRF list in order to qualify for that. But that's grants, which is a good thing. It's not a loan. So that's certainly very helpful in terms of helping your programs. And as we've discussed, to qualify for your 0% interest loans, you need to meet those 5 criteria. The big one we've talked about is your land use controls, making sure that's in place, as well as having your comprehensive wastewater management plan completely approved. In your case, we would need to file the notice of project change through the state and then through the Cape Cod Commission, get that approved prior to submitting the SRF application. So hopefully that helps with the process timelines, because I know some people were panicking, oh, we need to file tomorrow, get pre-approvals. Well, there is no, quote, pre-approval process. You just need to fall in step with those different timelines that I just gave a brief outline on.
So our scenario would be, we would hopefully have a vote at fall town meeting, and then we'd start putting all these actions in place for sometime late next year.
Yeah, you would potentially be considering filing for your project evaluation forms in probably August of 2022 at the earliest.
Tom, I see your hand up, Tom Barron.
Yeah, I was just looking at the schedule, Dave. What you're saying is that the blue lines, which include the idea of the design in each of the towns and each of the elements. That timeline that you described is already included in that.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. And because there's been a delay, some of that will have to shift one way or another. But it's basically the length of time that's has to be allocated for that process.
Yes, and we've started doing some of the work, starting to coordinate. We've started the survey for down on Route 28. The town signed that contract back the first of the year. So we've got our surveyor out already working to pick up that other end of Route 28. And we have a contract. We're trying to schedule a coordination meeting with MassDOT for the North Main Street and Route 28 areas so that we get the pipes that would be going through that intersection designed correctly as well, so that they can be incorporated.
So your survey is on site today near Willow Street.
Oh, good.
So there was some borings down the middle of Route 28, I think last year. Is that DOT's work, survey work, or was that done for our purposes?
If it was last year, it was probably DOT work. We had done a lot of borings back in 2010 as part of the west section. There are specific requirements in the state revolving fund that you have to take a boring along pipeline routes every 300 feet. Sometimes we've been able to get waivers for that if we think it's all sandy soils to push that out. Or if there's been recent borings like MassDOT has taken similar ones, we can use those. But that is a requirement, and that's been in the planning estimates and timeframes as well.
Yeah, that was one of my,
If you look down at the top or the bottom of that schedule, Tom, you'll see town meeting dates and SRF application dates and all those check marks that have been factored into that schedule.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that was my question about the borings, is if we could use the information that DOT had gathered, if that was there. So that's good. That saves a little bit extra work, I would say. You know, maybe if we need to do further borings, we don't need to bore in the same place. We could look at other areas.
Yeah, similarly, you know, we had included and discussed with our surveyor to try to get some updates since it's been over 10 years for the survey on the west end, but it appears we'll be able to just use the 2-year-old survey that MassDOT's using right now for their road layout for that. And so there's likely to be some cost savings on that end. There may be some streets where we want to bring stubs out to go up the street a little bit or this or that to make sure we're out of any paving lines that MassDOT's doing. So we've kept that, but kept it on the side. We're not out doing that work. We're focused on the east end of 28 now.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments? I think we've covered everything that we had on the agenda today. So I guess I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, John.
Aye.
Myself, I, Tom Roach,
Aye.
Barron,
Aye.
George Perkins,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Barrow,
Aye.
Tom Durkin.
Aye.
I think that's everybody. Thank you once again for your
Lee.
time.
You missed Lee.
Aye.
I hear somebody talking.
You missed Lee.
Oh, and Lee, all I have is a phone number,
Aye.
sorry. All right, thank you. Again, thank you all for your time and hope to see you soon, and we can celebrate getting this thing over the finish line.
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.